Hello, everybody. Welcome to our monthly oneness conversation. If you are not familiar with me, my name is Kim Blyde. I'm a music therapist and holistic healing coach. And we're super excited about this month's theme, which is faith. There is so much that we could go into, which you'll hear in our upcoming conversation, but lots of different ways to jump into faith. So we're super excited to talk about that today. So I'm going to hand it over to our fearless leader, Judith.
I just love being introduced as the fearless leader. Thank you so much, Kim. I'm Judith King Matheson, and I'm an elder that is blessed to live on the sacred Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory of Gatineau-Aylmer, Quebec, which is just across from the national capital city of Canada, Ottawa, Ontario. And I've been on a journey of so much learning since I returned to this sacred land back in 1986. And when we're talking about the theme that we're going to be talking about today, it's very close to my heart because there's nothing more powerful than faith in the best in each other. And I'm sure that we're going to have some really great conversations. As a former spiritual director, now no longer working in that field, I really love the holistic approach to the new humanity awakening all across this country and the world now, to begin to see that we're actually the ones we've been waiting for. And that goes back to the ancient prophecies of the Anishinaabe peoples and all peoples that come from indigenous roots. And don't we all? If we have ancestors buried in the earth, we're all actually indigenous in our hearts. And to do that, we have to really start to care for the earth, for each other and ourselves, and have faith in the best in each other. And today we have Joey and Kim helping me as an elder to be fearless and trust that everything's unfolding for our highest good. So I hope as people are listening into this conversation of faith, we can inspire many hearts to have hope. And Joey, you're back online, and he comes from Colorado, and Kim is coming from the great city of Philadelphia. So we're beginning to see that Sylvia is also on the line today, and I really want to give a special welcome to Sylvia. And I'm sure when she's listening in, she may want to have her voice heard from time to time to really see what's inspiring her or whatever comes through our hearts today. So Joey, would you like to come online and introduce who you are and what you're up to in our conversations once a month to hopefully inspire many hearts?
Yeah, hey everybody, this is Joey. I'm an emotional healing practitioner, and I help my clients to be able to resolve emotional difficulties. Lately, I've been gardening. We've had a lot of thunderstorms here in Colorado, so it's been somewhat difficult to get out and do gardening, but we finally got a lot of sunshine coming through. So it's nice to see all my plants starting to thrive and grow, and me doing the same thing, getting as much sunshine as I can. Yeah, trying to think of what else is new. Just recently working with a couple clients, and helping one of them to resolve sorry, my mind is blanking. Panic attacks. She was starting to experience panic attacks post COVID era. Had anxiety previous to that, and then something within COVID changing some of the social structures. It seems like started turning into panic attacks, and her life was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And it was able to do a single session with her, and then the panic attacks are gone as of the last month. So excited for more of that to be on the way and to see her life to start to expand even further. It's been pretty beautiful to be able to be witness to that. So faith in the power of our bodies, our minds, and our spirits to be able to self-heal and self-regulate once we get out of our own way. And so I love being able to help people to get back to being best friends with themselves.
How beautiful is that? And that kind of leads me to have everybody that's listening in the future to these recorded sessions to give themselves a big hug, because there's such an issue now with all the stress we've all been under, particularly going through COVID, that almost everyone is in various forms being affected by the need to really begin to care for ourselves in new ways and find people like yourself, Joey, and people like yourself, Kim, to hold space for them and listen to their stories and help them to really connect to themselves in a way by which they can begin to understand, to be more present to themselves, can be very helpful in the process, particularly when we have these patterns where we're triggered and we can go into an old way of being where we go right into panic. And I think when we look at humanity, we have this thing called fear and flight. And right now, the times in which we're living, we're beginning to see that we have triggers. And many times when we're meeting people, they can trigger us and we can be reacting rather than responding. So we're all teachers and students now on the planet, understanding that we're going through similar things, we're just having different events and experiences. And we're having conversations to assure each other that we're all going through something similar, only it's different. And we're going to be responding or reacting in different ways. And the more we can respond and react, we're going to be more centered and balanced. So Kim, would you like to add up to that actually, and when we look at faith, it really pertains to having the faith to find people with good, loving hearts like you and Joy and many others who can help us be present to ourselves in new ways and give us language to understand that what we're going through this soon will pass if we can but be more centered and breathe and get back to a greater understanding that we're all in the same boat as one humanity, as the Dalai Lama said. So Kim, would you like to add to that conversation as it regards to faith in the process?
Oh yeah, there's always something I could say about faith. It's one of my core values, so I love the concept and the idea of faith. So I think what I've seen be most helpful for clients that I work with is bringing them back to the present moment, because anxiety is caused by thinking about either the past or the future. You're either thinking about something in the past that you can't get out of your mind and you're beating yourself up about it, shoulda, coulda, woulda, done whatever, or you're focused on something in the future that you're worried about because you don't know how it's going to turn out. But when you forget about the past and the future and realize that we really just have this present moment. That's the gift that we have each and every day. All day long is the present moment. So when we can bring ourselves back to that, to the now, that helps us remember who we are, who we're connected to, our higher power, or whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, it helps us connect to that. And we can take the time to connect with one another. So, for example, in my line of work as a music therapist, I often work with people who have special needs or developmental delays or autism or things like that. And that concept really, really rings true for them, because lots of times they'll have anxiety around transition. Like we're moving from one activity to the next activity. What's happening? There's a change, and change is frightening. So we just again, an example, there's many ways to kind of navigate through it, but an example that we often use is like a visual schedule. Or in music, since I'm a music therapist, I have like a musical structure to my sessions where we start with a hello song, and then we might do a movement activity to music, and then we might do vocal like singing exercises, and then we might do something else with a tangible or an art or something, and then we end with a goodbye song. So that having that flow, and they know that they can count on, here's the structure. We might do different things and have different themes in each session, but if they know that that's the structure, then they know what to expect, and they can focus on, okay, what's right now. And I'll have clients who ask, what's next, and just focus on right now. We're singing this song. Do you know what the words are? And I'll engage them with that. With coaching clients, though, same thing. It's the same idea, bringing them back to what's happening right now that you can control in this moment. You can control your thoughts. You can control what you're thinking about, your feelings. In a way, you can control your feelings because those are dictated by your thoughts. You can control your reaction to different situations and who you talk to. So there's like that really gives us a strong sense of control from what I've seen in my work with various clients, is bringing us back to the present. helps us connect deeper with our faith and just take one step at a time. Then you know that the next step is going to be just fine. Just keep taking the next step. And before you know it, you've gotten through whatever it is that you were anxious about, and you've come out the other side, and you can now look back and take a deep breath because you made it through. So that's what I've seen.
And I love what Joey just put up to go with what you're talking about, faith and presence. And the greatest presence, as you're talking, Kim, it's so powerful what you're saying, because the greatest relationship we can ever have is to have presence to ourselves. And as you were thinking, I was thinking in the songs that you're doing with people, maybe a song would be very powerful, living in the now. Living in the now. And when we feel ourselves being triggered by a worrywart of either moving from the present to the future, which many of us have, because we have a tendency to want to be perfectionists. It has to be perfect. So we want to make sure it's perfect. And we leap out of our minds to the next thing or project that we're on. And sometimes we aren't present to the now of just taking small steps towards whatever we're creating. And remembering to celebrate that in every step towards the now, we're creating a future that's much more relaxing. So I love this theme on what you're talking about. And Joy, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, Kim. I think there's the analogy I kind of like to use is that our brain is kind of like a time machine, that we have this really smart human intellect, which has been very helpful for our progress as a species, where we can go into the past, we can go into the future, we can be present. And at the same time, it's also a detriment to us, where oftentimes we kind of get pulled by the shirt and go into the future or go into the past, and we have to do that work to kind of stay really present sometimes. So I absolutely love any type of practice or coach that can help us to have more tools to be more present in the now, currently, moment by moment by moment, because I think that's where we're able to more deeply access that faith in living, and being able to capture more good feelings in our lives, or to even be more present when things are difficult, instead of kind of distracting ourselves away from them. That, even when there are difficult situations, I think if we're able to be more present then and have more faith in that presence, that we can capture more information from those moments, so that we can better enhance our own lives. I've definitely seen that in my own life and seen it in my clients as well, is that it's a double-edged sword of that way, where we can be in the past, the future, and really strengthening our attention to be more here now more often. So absolutely love that.
Yeah, and part of that might be recognizing our own triggers, being more conscious of when we actually go into an old pattern where we go back to being a worrywart, so to speak. And Sylvia, would you like to be part of the conversation right now as it relates to what we're saying? Does anything resonate for you in your own story? For example, I was just thinking of our friend Pamela, who passed away 2 years ago now, Pamela Holmes, in relation to the work she did. That's so very similar to what we're talking about today with the music that Kim uses to help people really get centered, particularly ones that are having issues with sometimes our brains going all over the place on us. And I don't think there's anything more healing than sometimes music and laughter and somebody that bring us right back to the present moment of what it is we want to say for ourselves in that moment. And sometimes we get so distracted, we forget to be connected to who we are. So Sylvia, could you add to this conversation, perhaps from your story, some wisdom?
I'll just say that currently I missed it at noon because I was away, but I will get the replay. Kitty Andrews, she's doing a beautiful declutter, clear the chaos in the brain. And truly, it just makes sense. Kind of in the oneness, go to the room you want to start with. Pick one corner, small, start with one item, start with, so just like, what's next? One thing. And so the week has really gone on to really almost honing it down to really loving yourself too, right? And so what's the one thing that you're going to do to increase your serotonin, your dopamine, right? So that we can actually the oxytocin, but just that we're either with our families or with our friends, going out for nature, drinking as much water as you are to be following suit for sleep, right? It's just like all of it. And I just love it that having faith that if we do the baby steps for our own selves and love ourselves enough, I say, I only have this one temple, so I guess I better start to realize that I need to take care of this body because nobody else is going to take care of it. And if that's the case, then this light will shine even brighter. So that's what I say, that if I can heal my own self, that I can have faith that things will fall into place. Thanks.
Thank you so much, because that's so beautiful, because when we're talking about clearing our houses, it's so powerful, because as within, so without, and as without, so within. And so a lot of us are so busy making projects and doing projects, we end up accumulating a lot of things. And so it's so self-powering to declutter. And when we clean one drawer, we clean one room, or we throw a whole bunch of stuff out, which was what I did today, it empowers us to know that we're making headway. So it's a way of self-empowerment and to be centered in the present moment of letting go of stuff. So Kim, would you like to add to that? Because I think a lot of us in the North American culture, we do have a problem with this thing called materialism and literally too much stuff.
Yes, that's my life right now, actually. So I can absolutely speak to that. Oh my goodness. Before we left for this trip, actually, we spent the evening before we left decluttering. I think I took out like piles, like several garbage bags and piles of boxes and just all sorts of things. Because we have company coming. The day that we return, we go back on Saturday. So that night, our daughter will be coming with our grandpa, her grandpa, my wife's dad, because she's away visiting this weekend. So he'll be bringing her down, and we've been using the couch as a place to put stuff because we only sit on like one section of it, so the other section has been used for accumulation, and so we had to clear it because that's where grandpa is going to sleep. So we've been going through this process as well as reorganizing the bedroom where the baby will be. Those of you who don't know, by the way, we have a baby coming next week. Not next week, next month. Oh my gosh. Thank goodness it's not next week. We're not ready. Yeah. So July 20th is our due date. My wife's due date is July 20th. So we just have about 4 weeks now to get everything set and ready to go. The crib is up. We have a changing area ready. We're have a place where we can put clothes. We just need to reorganize it. So lots of shifting is happening. And you're right, Judith, it really is empowering. Even though I was tired doing all of this, before we left for our trip this week, it really was nice to see the progress after we went through that process and to be able to look at it and say, wow, again, that took faith, because I was kind of looking around and I was like, I don't see how we're going to make this happen in a short period of time. Like my mindset was like, I don't know. I don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't see the end result. Like I don't see how it's possible. But one of the slogans actually that I used to have in my Facebook banner was success is just taking the next step. So that's all we did. We just kept taking one more step. Okay, well, I don't know how the whole thing's going to get clear, but let me pick up this book and put that on the shelf, right? So let me clear this one little pile over here, and just focus on that. So doing these baby steps really did end up creating a huge result in the end, even though we couldn't see it because in our mind it was too overwhelming, it was too big. So that was huge for us, taking that small step, one little step at a time in faith, knowing that each step you take gets you closer. And again, it's just like I said before, the trick was not focusing on the end result because we wanted it yesterday, right? Like we were like, we want it clean now. We want Mary Poppins to come in and snap her fingers and just make it magically clean. So being willing to be patient with ourselves and go through that process one piece of paper at a time, one step at a time, one thing at a time. I mean, that's how it's done. It sounds tedious, but you just focus on that piece of paper that's in your hand. You focus on the thing, and that's all you do. And you get there. You really do. You get there. You just got to have faith.
And it's so powerful because it's interesting. Joy just put something up about what I'm talking about a lot. It's the inch by inch, it's a cinch, and yard by yard, it's hard. But taking that analogy, I picked up a pile of newspapers because I'm very politically involved in being aware of what's happening to ecology and environment. And sometimes I read papers and underline and integrate the knowledge. And what happens is that eventually you'll end up with maybe 10 newspapers. So today I picked up 10 newspapers and dumped them in the garbage. And boy, did I get a surge of empowerment. So sometimes we get to that point, we break the old patterns that are creating some of the clutter by seeing I don't need to keep those papers. We can become very much into patterns that are self-destructive without even knowing it sometimes. Well, patterns. And I think these are the times of great faith to see that Lori made it on today. And speaking of faith, see what I said a moment ago? We have this wonderful elder, very dear friends of both Sylvia and I, that's able to be present today. And again, we elders have a challenge, not just with the clutter in our lives, but we're not wired for the technology. And so sometimes we have some issues getting on at the right time. So Lori Nichols Davies, welcome to you. And it's so nice to see your face today. And Lori, we're talking about faith. And I said to them earlier, if Lori's meant to be on the phone today, she'll be able to get through in some way, and we'll just trust to spirit. So there you go. So I'd like you to meet Joey and Kim, my wonderful co-partners in these monthly conversations on oneness. And today we're talking about the power of faith. So welcome, Lori. Would you like to say hello? You have to turn your button on. Yeah.
There we go. Hello. I'm big on faith. As Kim is saying, be patient with yourself. And for me, patience, you possess your own soul. And I'm a soul traveler since I'm 2 years old. And I have been given a vision where I see the end. And it's so big and enormous that you don't know what to do except do it one day at a time. I really tune in and resonate with what Kim is saying. And I love what you're doing in music therapy, having a song to open and close the meeting. And this is the type of environment I've been working in for the last 35 years. I have, the spirit takes us to the places with the people that we can learn with in that structure that the Lord has designed for us to learn. Because this whole world is a schoolhouse, and there's so much diversity in the way we learn and how we resonate together. It's wonderful to see the OWL group still going. It's been kind of quiet for a while, but that's okay, because we have to stop ourselves and just go within, especially when we have interior work, as Judith had to do with Bob's passing. And she's, our leader, and it's so good to see your smiling face again, Judith. And Sylvia, thank you for sending me the link connection. I was a little preoccupied waiting for it to come. So I'm utilizing my time and I'm looking at how to prevent diabetes. And I'm on target for decluttering, not only my own life. I'm very disciplined in keeping a very organized. I love messes, so I can clean them up, organize them. That's my nature. And I have a very neat and tidy environment. I get my garbage out every day. I don't wait for it to accumulate. But I, like Judith, have these newspapers from Epic Times, and I don't have time to read them all. And I put them in a place to read them. And then one day I skim them and all they go out together. Like I like to organize piles where I have to focus on a particular area, because there's multiple areas when you're into holistic healing, as we all are. We're all here. I think we've been invited here because we resonate to the word holistic and wholesomeness, and having that empathy of reaching out to others as a listener and holding space, as Judith has always coached us to do. Since I remembered one of the first meetings with Owl, hold the space for others. And that's what Judith did for me in 1994, when I desperately needed somebody to hold my space so I could go deep, deep down. You know, the garbage that we have collected just to get here. And organize, you know, the lesson that we learned in that challenge. And goodness knows how we love challenges, because that's the only way we learn. You can't change anything until you have a challenge.
And Lori, thank you so much for sharing all that wisdom. I often say to people, when we get to a certain age and we have a certain color of hair, is because we come from many life experiences of meeting so many kind, faithful people on our journey. And I'd just like to say that Joey and Kim are doing such wonderful work to help others know that they're there if they're having any issues and challenges, such as what we're talking about today. The human family, it's hard to be human, and at different stages in our own journey forward, to be fully present in good faith to others, we need a good friend that can be present to us. And we need trained people and coaches similar to Kim and Joey that are there for people to reach out to. So it's such a blessing to see you again, Lori, and to hear your voice. And I'd like to get Kim to keep building on this conversation of the power of faith, because it's in faith that we meet today. And we hope that in these conversations and programs that are taped, many more people, if they're feeling a rotten day or a tough day or they're down, will feel the urge in their own faith of knowingness to intuitively go to OWL and check out some of the conversations we've been making for the last year, and we'll be continuing to make next month. And Kim, you'd might want to speak to that and what we're going to be talking about next month, because I would expect that we're getting very close to the end of our conversation. We like to keep it as close to 1 hour as possible. So Kim, what are we talking about next month, and what date will we be talking to it, Joey?
Okay, go ahead.
The theme next month for July is service. And it's interesting because it's a good build upon from faith into service. And it really does say what we're all about in my comments about you and Joey. You're working in service to a greater cause than yourself. And that's why, as an elder, I would love to empower young people to know, similar to myself at a very early age, I just simply felt the call to be more than just working in a 9-to-5 day job, to be able to do something that was special, that would empower others and myself to keep moving forward in life, not just decluttering, but as you create new space, you attract new other people into your life to help you be the best version of yourself. So Kim, talking about service, you and Joey are both sort of on a similar plane, and the work you've been doing started a long time ago. And so we always build on these themes every month. And I'm glad Joey's just put that up for everyone to see in future conversations, what we're talking about today as it builds on each theme towards the next month. So Kim, talk about today and what you're doing with your beautiful wife and what you're expecting to be doing coming next month we're going to have a theme that's going to be kind of on your life story, and we're going to be able to celebrate something very special.
Yes, yes, that's certainly our hope. Absolutely. So next month, our theme will be about service, and we will have a new baby in our lives. So from my perspective, I mean, each of us will have service in different ways. But from my perspective, my service will be to focus on the health of my wife as she'll be recovering from giving birth, and we don't know what that will look like. We don't know if it will be another C-section, because that was our first, was a C-section, or if it'll be natural, which would be wonderful. We are certainly hoping and praying for natural this time around. Um, but either way, I get to support her through that process of the beforehand, of through the actual delivery, and the afterhand of healing and bonding. And then, of course, as a family, we're all going to be in service to our new little baby, and the baby won't think about it, but the baby's going to be in service to us too. Because it's going to fill our hearts up with joy and love, and give us all sorts of happy feelings. So, of course, the baby's not going to think about that, but we're going to be feeling that, this kind of reciprocal, emotional, give and take of being filled up by the joy of the baby, and then pouring that back out to the baby. At least this is my experience. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but this is how I've seen it, at least with our first, is there's this filling up that we are receiving from the little one, because how can you not? And then there's this pouring out of just love, and you know for me, I have this feeling of, like, I would do anything for that kid. When you look into their eyes, you're like, I will do anything for you. So that's going to encompass, making sure all of their needs are met, the physical things and the emotional hugs and the love. And so you're right. To make a long story short, our life will absolutely be a great story of service next month. I'm sure I'll be able to add a lot to that topic.
And it also leads into the month of August, where the theme is family. So it's
Mm.
absolutely beautiful how it's unfolding. And Joey, perhaps you have the dates for those particular ones that are taking place, because in future, what we're beginning to see is all of these themes on certain dates when we tape once a month are so relative to our own personal lives as they unfold. And we begin to be much more aware of the significance of our own healing process, and how we're always moving forward to the always more of living from our full divine spiritual potentialities. And in faith, we travel in the journey of family and oneness and service, and they're all interconnected as one, as is the one universal human family. So Joey, you are way out there in Colorado. Kim is in Philadelphia, and here we are in the Algonquin territory, in the heart of Canadian democracy. And we're connecting every month on these glorious calls to help people have hope in the future. So can you build on what we've been saying today, and maybe some of us give us some time of what we're looking at as the hour begins to wind away, and we may have to say goodbye soon.
Yeah, so I mean, with faith that we've been talking about now, I think one of the things we've all kind of pointed at is faith that life will unfold as it needs to, as it should, and to be more present now, and to not worry so much about the things that are out of our control. Because I think, speak for myself, but I expect you all on the call have also experiences as well. As in the moment, something might be like what Lori was speaking about, a challenging, difficult place currently, and we do what we can to get through that challenge. And then years later, we look back at that challenge and realize how that unfolded into something else currently now, years later, that it makes sense. It seemed to have a purpose, or life had some reason behind it. And so I think we, as Judith says, not take ourselves so seriously. It's like, even when we're going through difficult things presently, just having that faith that life will unfold as it needs to, and that we do have the power to get through good or bad in the present moment, but to enjoy that present moment as much as we can. I think is where faith definitely helps me out to see that life unfolds as it does. And if it's out of our control, that's fine. And the work we put in today, now presently, will be worth it in the future whenever that happens to come around. And so for today, it's the next event that we're going to be having is July 28th at 11 Eastern, and the topic is service, like Kim was saying. And then the following one is going to be August 18th, also at 11 Eastern. This is 2023, and then the topic is going to be family. And then following that, we have September 22nd, also at 11 Eastern. And that topic is going to be prayer. And then October, we have October 20th for the topic of beauty, also at 11 Eastern. And might as well go to the end since we're almost there. We've got November 24th, 11 Eastern, and the topic is blessings. And then for December, we got December 22nd, and the topic is peace. And I've posted in the chat the Udaway Wellness Learning Center, where you can see all the events if they happen to change between now and then.
And
Where do
thank
we
you so
check?
If you go into the chat, there's a link for the OWL website, Udaway Wellness Learning. And
Oh, yes.
there's an event page there that has all the events.
Oh, good, 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 good.
And I just wanted to say that it's such a blessing to have Lori on today, because Lori is touching upon something that's so important about the journey for all of us on the theme today around faith. And that is, when we're having times of great challenge, of grief and loss, around loss of any form, there's nothing more important than having good friends or comforters that you can really trust to be present with you on that journey, to do the deeper work of helping to grieve deeply someone that's left and no longer with you, is kind of around the journey of faith, on what I saw on a poster in the Catholic Church many years ago. And it kind of links us to Kim and their wife and she expecting this nice, beautiful child, a newborn child, to be born in July. And the theme of when a person loses a loved one that's very significant to them. Lori and I have both gone through this journey of losing loved ones, as has everyone listening to this call, because it goes with being human. And in that journey of grief and trauma, Joey and Kim have both been very, very helpful for me in this journey of having these calls once monthly, and working with Joey as well to see how he helps people be completely present to their body, so we can feel and allow our body to do the work it's capable of doing, to release some of that pain and trauma and tension that we store by holding on to grief. And so the reason I'm connecting the journey of grief to the journey of welcoming a newborn child, there's a saying that for every soul that leaves to go back to spirit world, it creates space for a newborn child to reincarnate and come to this beautiful planet, to begin to help us who are here, to welcome them, to help us learn even better how to care for Mother Earth and care for ourselves and care for each other as ourselves. And so the theme of this day is what we're talking about. When we declutter, we help ourselves to love ourselves and to give and exchange strong faith that we can all get better at being better. And that's just darn well good enough. So
Yeah.
thank you all for being who you are, and our monthly calls that give us food for our souls and seeds of faith to feed and water and grow, so we can be present in oneness with good hearts for others we meet in the journey ahead in the next 4 weeks till we meet again. So Kim, would you like to close, and would anyone like to make some final comments on how this particular program has affected their heart, and use one word, because one word can be a food or a water for another soul listening in. So today's conversation, would you like to share with us in one word what you're going to leave today with to share with other people tomorrow, because something has touched you deeply? So perhaps Sylvia, you've been on the call for a long time. Can you give us your voice right now? And then we can have Lori add hers, and we'll go back to Kim and Joy for finally closing.
Okay, I'll keep it simple. Joy.
Wonderful.
Song,
What did you say, Lori?
song,
Aha. Okay.
or sing.
And thank you both for being on the call today. You certainly added to the joy I feel today. And Kim and Joy, you always give me great joy because Joey is very close to joy. And it's always great to hear from the young ones that have so much wisdom way beyond the years of what I had at the same similar age many decades ago. So Kim, would you like to bring us down to a closing, and Joey as well with your final comments?
Absolutely. For me, my word is actually peace. I know that's another topic for another month, but that's the word that's coming to me because just getting to this call, it seemed like a few of us had difficulty getting to this call today, required a bit of faith and being willing to work things out. So just being here is like, it worked out. There's now this sense of peace that we've all come together once again to share our hearts. So as we close, I would like everyone to just remember, like hold that in your heart. Hold the idea of faith and peace with you, and you can do that in one deep breath. I always like to breathe. It's one of my favorite my favorite modalities is just breathing. Um, I'd like to remind all of you to take a breath today. Take a breath. Take a breath and let yourself be present in the moment. Let yourself experience the joy in the moment and the fun in the moment and the peace in the moment. It's there. It's in every single moment. There are these things. You can find them if you look for them and allow yourself to open your heart to it. So just do that today and we'll see you next month.
Wonderful. And Joey, could you add to that and give us some bonus points here? Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, I would second that. That I think it's when we notice ourselves kind of spinning off somewhere, I think it's easy to come back to, like Kim was saying, come back to your breath. It's something that it is the present moment, and it's something you feel. You could even feel your heartbeat, or if you need a little help, kind of just feel your heartbeat somewhere else. And just take a moment to use all of your five senses to see your external world as well as feel your internal world. That's one thing that it's our superpower, is we always have access to feeling internally and experiencing the outside world. It's just a piece of our attention to bring it back to those moments. So lovely being here with you all. Always makes me feel great to have these conversations, and I look forward to having more of them next month and following after that as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye for now.
Thank you, Joey.
Everyone, be in presence. Presence to the all. Bless
Yeah.
you all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.